Can you believe that old and used CDs can actually be repurposed to create a waterproofing solution? It may sound a little unusual at first, but there's a logical reason behind it. Each CD contains a layer of polycarbonate plastic, a material known for its durability and resistance to moisture. When this plastic is properly processed and combined with suitable solvents, it can form a liquid mixture that dries into a thin protective coating. Once applied to a surface, the coating acts like a barrier, helping seal tiny pores and cracks where water would normally seep through, such as on concrete, wood, or metal surfaces. As for why I boiled these CDs earlier, it was simply a practical trick to remove the paper labels that are often stuck onto the surface of the discs. The heat softens the adhesive underneath the paper, making it much easier to peel the label off without damaging the plastic layer of the CD. This way, the discs can be cleaned quickly and prepared properly for the next step of turning them into a waterproofing mixture. The next step is to cut these old CDs into smaller pieces. Breaking them down like this makes the mixing process much easier and more efficient. When the plastic is reduced to smaller fragments, it can dissolve or combine with solvents and other ingredients more readily, helping create a more uniform mixture. As a result, the final solution becomes smoother and more stable when applied as a waterproofing coating. The second ingredient in this waterproofing mixture is acetone. It is a strong solvent commonly used to dissolve various plastics. When mixed with the small pieces of polycarbonate from the CDs, acetone helps soften and dissolve the material, forming a workable liquid mixture. Once applied to the surface, the acetone evaporates quickly, leaving behind a thin plastic layer that helps create a waterproof barrier. And a final ingredient in this mixture is silicone sealant. This material is known for its strong adhesion, flexibility, and excellent water resistance. When combined with the dissolved CD, plastic, and acetone, the silicone helps improve both the bonding strength and elasticity of the coating. As a result, the dried layer not only sticks firmly to the surface, but can also handle slight expansion or movement of the material. All the ingredients are mixed in a 1:1:1 ratio, creating a balanced consistency that is easy to apply to different surfaces. At this point, all the ingredients have blended and dissolved together. The mixture now looks fairly uniform, with a milky white color. This usually indicates that the materials have mixed well, forming a thick solution that can be easily applied to surfaces to create a waterproof layer once it dries. To make the results easier to compare, I'll use a marker to divide the surface of the test objects into two clear sections. One side will be coated with the waterproofing mixture, while the other side will be left untreated. This simple setup makes it much easier to visually observe the difference when we test the surfaces with water. All right, now we just need to let these items dry completely. Once the coating has fully set on the surface, we can move on to testing and see how well the waterproofing actually works. After waiting for a while, it looks like the coating has fully dried. Now let's test it and see how effective the waterproofing actually is. After waiting for a while for the mixture to dry completely, it's time to see the results. When water is dropped onto the surface coated with the waterproofing mixture, you can immediately notice that the water does not soak into material the way it normally would. Instead, the droplets quickly form clear, rounded beads sitting on top of the surface. This is a good sign that the coating has created a protective layer that prevents water from penetrating the material. Looking a little closer, the droplets do not spread out or flow into thin streams. They maintain their rounded shape and gently roll across the surface. With just a slight tilt of the test object, the droplets slide off very easily, almost as if the surface is pushing the water away. This indicates that the coated surface has become smoother and more water repellent. Another interesting detail is that the water doesn't stay on the surface for long. As soon as it touches the coated area, the droplets gather together and quickly roll away, leaving the surface nearly dry. Compared to the untreated section of the material, the difference becomes quite obvious. On the untreated side, water tends to linger longer and often spreads out into a thin film instead of forming droplets. Overall, this small experiment suggests that a mixture made from old CDs, acetone, and silicone sealant can create a surprisingly effective water-repellent coating. It may not replace professional waterproofing solutions for major construction projects, but as a DIY experiment and a way to recycle old materials, the result is definitely encouraging, and that's part of the charm of DIY experiments like this. Sometimes, things that seem completely useless, like old, forgotten CDs, can actually be turned into something surprisingly practical. With a little curiosity and creativity, everyday objects can gain a second life, and who knows, experiments like this might even inspire your next DIY project.